Yes, hello and welcome to New Agent Training Part 5. This section of training is going to deal with the Total Protection Plan, the key to success. We're going to start off by talking about the basics and exactly what is the Total Protection Plan. Well, this isn't a new concept. It's been around for a long, long time. I know I've been in this business for almost 30 years, and I can remember we were selling these types of plans, back in the, late 80s and early 90s. Other agencies have called it different things. You may have heard of the combo plan or a blended sale. We call it the total protection plan. Basically, this is really the biggest no-brainer in the history of the health insurance industry. The reason for that is because not only is it an opportunity for your client to obtain a much more comprehensive and broader scope of coverage at around the same monthly cost that they were planning on spending, it's also an opportunity for you as an agent to significantly increase your income for every sale that you make, for every hour that you put into this business. It's going to maximize your profitability. So because of that reason, we refer to this as a win-win situation. Now, there's really a couple of total protection plan options. The first option is a combination of your health insurance plan, critical illness coverage, and an accident plan. Or the second option is a combination of the health insurance plan and a gap plan. So option A is going to be your health insurance plan. This could be a short-term medical bridge plan. It could be an ACA plan. It could even be a defined benefit plan. That's your base. And then you're going to add critical illness to that. And this should be written on both the primary insured and the spouse whenever possible, along with an accident plan. And this accident plan provides additional accident coverage that's subject to a lower deductible than the one they have with their health insurance plan. Option B is, of course, your health insurance plan, which is that same foundation. And then we're going to add to that a gap plan. Now, this is a plan that pays benefits that can help offset the deductible and or the coinsurance of the health insurance plan. Really, any other out-of-pocket expenses, it can help offset those. So let me ask you this question. For a sale, would you rather make $700 or would you rather make $1,700? Well, hopefully I know the answer to that question. Let's take a look at where we come up with this quick scenario. If you sell a standalone health insurance plan, $400 a month, that's going to pay out somewhere around $750 in first year commission. If you sell a total protection plan, we're going to sell that same short-term medical bridge plan now with a higher deductible, lowering the premium down to $300 a month. And then we're going to add a $50 critical illness plan for the primary insured and a $50 critical illness plan for the spouse. For that same $400 a month premium, you're now looking at practically doubling your commission to $1,441. And then if you add a $59 accident plan to that, you are up over $1,650 in first year commission. Now, of course, these commissions are based on adjusted for admin fees and based at the agent commission level. Also, commissions are all calculated on an 11-month term. So it actually can even be more lucrative than what you see right here. So folks, exactly what is critical illness insurance? Well, for all practical purposes and the way that we sell it, it's a term life insurance policy with a critical illness rider. That means that in addition to paying a death benefit, it can also pay an accelerated, upfront, lump sum benefit upon the diagnosis of a covered critical illness. Now, this type of policy typically provides an indemnity benefit that is paid directly to the insured and they can use it for whatever they want. So, which products should you sell? We have several different products to choose from. Initially, though, it may very well be easier to sell the health plan carrier's critical illness and or accident coverage because it's a simple checkoff box on the application. So if you're selling a United Health One short-term medical plan, they're going to have some options on there where you can add critical illness, you can add accident coverage. That's really the easiest way to get started, to get your feet wet in selling a total protection plan. However, you're going to want to quickly graduate to selling a separate critical illness and or accident plan, a standalone critical illness and accident plan. And the reason for that is that these standalone policies will stay on the books a lot longer, and they usually pay much higher commissions to the agent. In fact, in many cases, the commissions can be as much as twice what they are when you just use that checkoff box. Now, the good news is that we have 3 world-class critical illness options here at USABG. Our first one is Colorado Bankers. Now, they offer the easiest online application process in the industry, and they actually pay commissions on a daily basis. So it's a very, very good platform, very easy. It's usually the first one and is the go-to program here at USABG. But we also have another option through Assurity Life. This option is going to offer you the Cadillac of critical illness plans with a product that they call the Non-Med 350. Now, this plan pays up to 3 separate claims per policy. You can have 2 separate critical illnesses covered and still have your death benefit in force. Now, that's really tremendous because most of the other policies that are out there are one and done policies that will only pay one claim and then that plan terminates. Now, the downside of the Assurity Life product is that the underwriting is a little more strict, as you would well imagine, than some of the other options. But if you have somebody who's virtually healthy, this may very well be the best option for them. Certainly something that you're going to want to have in your arsenal of products. Another great option is GTL, Guaranteed Trust Life. The thing I like about them is that they offer both critical illness and accident plans, and this allows you to only have to talk about one additional company in addition to the base health insurance plan. I think ultimately all of our agents are going to want to be licensed with all 3 of these carriers so that they have those options available to them. Now, this training is not designed to go into a full-blown product training on critical illness, but just to give you a quick idea on how it works. The Colorado Bankers Life Critical Illness pays out 100% of the face amount for invasive cancer, heart attack, stroke, end-stage renal failure, major organ transplant, terminal illness, advanced Alzheimer's, loss of independent living, loss of limbs, and major burns. It even covers paralysis 100%. However, it also has some partial payouts as well. It'll pay 25% of the face amount for coronary bypass surgery, for heart valve replacement or repair, for aortic surgery, and even has a 10% payout for something as common as an angioplasty. So you can see these types of plans are a lot more than just cancer, heart attack, and stroke. There's a lot more to it. As far as accident plans goes, these are separate policies that cover expenses related to accidental injuries. They can help to offset deductibles and co-insurances. And our best-selling option is going to be the VBA or the NEA plans through General Agent Center. All right, as far as gap plans are concerned, these are separate plans that offer coverage that can cover some or all of their out-of-pocket expense through their health insurance plan. Some of the gap plan options that we offer are CUL, Central United Life, and Family Life in Florida. And they have several options that offer the best coverage for your clients because these benefits are not limited to just critical illness or accident expenses. Team Corp has a great gap product called the TriMed. NHIC has another one called the Trio Med, very similar, and IHC has another one called Metal Gap. So these are all different options that are available. You may want to talk with your manager, and they can help point you in the right direction to some of the correct plans for you. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the selling process and how you can, really focus on these total protection plans, how you can really incorporate this into your everyday selling routine. And we actually have developed a PowerPoint presentation that's connected to every agent's subsite. Within that PowerPoint presentation, there's an HTML worksheet that's an interactive worksheet that can help you to close more sales. There's a lot of tools here to help you, but it starts with you focusing on the total protection plan and really trying to make that sale every single time. So let's talk about the phone script, the initial contact that you have on the phone with your client. It might sound something like this. Bob, you recently expressed an interest in health insurance through one of our affiliated websites. And with all the changes that are happening right now as a direct result of healthcare reform, there's a lot of people out there right now that are more confused than ever about health insurance. Now, the fact of the matter is, I'm a licensed insurance agent with USA Benefits Group. We're one of the leading health and life insurance agencies in the country right now. In fact, we've been doing business since 1988, and I'm proud to say that we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Now, Bob, I specialize in this type of coverage. This is what I do, and I can help you navigate your way through this healthcare maze that's out there right now, and I can help you to find exactly the right plan for your individual situation. Now, Bob, this might be an Obamacare plan, or it might be an alternative that could prove to be more affordable and maybe even provide you with better coverage. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have an opportunity to earn your business and really make sure that you're getting the best coverage available at the most affordable price. That's my goal. I promise not to waste any of your valuable time. I know if you're anything like me, you're very busy, and I don't want to waste my time, and I'm sure you don't either. And I'm really confident that I can put you into a much better position than you are right now. So let's just go ahead and take a few minutes and go over some of the options that might be available to you. Now, some important points to remember, folks. If the prospect doesn't object, simply have them join you on a web conference and proceed with your presentation. If they balk at the idea because they don't have the time, you may very well have to schedule a follow-up appointment. That's the fact of life. However, always remember this is critical. You should always schedule your follow-up appointment for either later that day or sometime early the next day whenever possible. In other words, don't let too much time lapse in between your initial call and your follow-up appointment. Now, after you schedule the follow-up appointment, tell them that you need some information from them in order to help them, and then proceed through the first 5 steps of the 10-step sales presentation. And I'm about to show you that 10-step sales presentation. Now, before you end your initial phone call with them, tell them that you represent all the top companies and that you're going to be working hard to find the best match for their situation and that you're going to be able to show them the features and benefits of that plan via a web conference. Whoa, what's a web conference? Well, we know what it is because we use it every single day. We use it for recruiting purposes, we use it for training purposes, we use it for selling purposes. We know what it is and we're very used to it. But there's still a lot of people out there that are new to it. Even though they've heard the commercials for, GoToMeeting and so on and so forth. Believe it or not, there are still a lot of people out there that find this to be really an amazing technology, and it really is. So, what is the 10-step sales presentation? Well, this is a presentation that I developed a long time ago, and it's been very successful in both face-to-face environment and also an online over the phone environment as well. Step one is building rapport. Step two is establishing credibility. Step three is explaining the enrollment procedure. Step four is asking fact-finding questions. Step five is using a pre-close. Now you'll notice there's a line underneath step five. The reason for that is that you want to try and get through at least these first 5 steps on your initial call whenever possible. Step 6 is presenting the total protection plan. Step 7 is presenting the individual products. Step 8 is closing the sale using the HTML worksheet. Step 9 is submitting the applications, and step 10 is getting referrals. Now, of course, whenever possible, you're going to want to do a one-call close. And in fact, that should be your goal on every case that you come up against. But you're not going to be able to do it every single time. However, if it's not your goal every single time, you're never going to pull off a one-call close. So you go for it, you attempt it, and you'll get your fair share of one-call closes, but you're also going to have many situations where you're going to have to schedule a follow-up appointment. That's just the way that the situation goes. So let's talk a little bit about some of these individual steps. Building rapport. Well, this is something that starts from your initial contact with your prospect. And you should always be using the autoresponder feature through the leads control panel that you have with iBoomerang. This feature automatically sends an email out to your client even before that email hits your inbox. Now, the reason for that is that you're not always going to be the first person to get in touch with that client, especially if you're buying shared internet leads. Once you do get in touch with that prospect, the first thing you want to try and do is try and find something that you have in common with them. Now, this is a little bit harder to do in an over-the-phone online environment, but it's certainly doable. Also, develop a mentality of wanting to help the prospect rather than wanting to make a sale. And this is a very important and subtle difference. I think most people out there today are very intuitive, and they can tell when when someone's trying to sell them something. They can tell when somebody, is looking out for their best interests more than they are for the clients. Now, although building rapport starts from your initial contact, it's really something that you must continue doing throughout your entire presentation. In fact, throughout your entire relationship with that client. Your next step is establishing credibility. Now, the number one reason why people don't buy an insurance product is that they simply don't trust the agent. So knowing that, you're going to have to do everything within your power to get that prospect to trust you. How can you do this? How can you establish credibility? How can you establish trust? Well, start off by showing them your affiliation with USA Benefits Group. We're a large nationwide organization. We've been around for many years. Of course, show them our A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. We have a great reputation online. You're going to have a much better chance of selling something as a member of this large national organization than you would be just being some kind of rogue independent agent out there that maybe built their own website. So utilize USABG's reputation to your advantage. Show them your picture on your USABG website. Show them your insurance licenses, which you can upload to the USABG website as well. And then, of course, always tell them that you're going to be showing them these benefits via a web conferencing tool. Once again, utilize technology to your advantage. If the client thinks that you're technologically savvy, they're going to trust you a lot more. The next step in this process is explaining the enrollment procedure. Now, when you ask an agent when is the very best time to answer an objection, they'll usually say, well, of course, it's immediately as soon as it comes up. And that's a great answer, but it's really not the correct answer. The correct answer is the best time to answer an objection is before it ever comes up. so that it never even becomes an objection. And that's really what we do here in this particular step. So tell them that you have some questions that you want to ask them to see if you can even help them out. Explain that if you can match them up to a plan that they're happy with at a price that falls easily within their budget, then you're going to ask them to go ahead and start an enrollment procedure. Tell them that you're going to have to submit personal information to the insurance company to determine if they're eligible for coverage and or any subsidy along with a deposit equal to their first month's premium. Then explain that when their plan is issued, of course, they're going to be given an effective date of coverage and that their first month's premium is going to be paid up. Then tell them that starting the second month, their premium payments will be paid through what we call a monthly bank draft. Now, this is critical because it guarantees that their policy will be in force if and when they need it. And then just simply ask them if they have any questions about that. Typically, they're going to say, no, that's perfectly fine. And now they can never come back and use any of that as an objection against buying from you at any time in the presentation. So it's absolutely brilliant. The next step is asking fact-finding questions. And this is kind of where I get old school. I still pull out my yellow pad. I like to write things down. This is where you're going to ask pertinent questions to find out, the prospect's exact situation. Find out their names, age, health history, family income, their budget, and so on. Write down all the answers so you can easily refer back. And basically the prospect's going to tell you exactly what you have to do in order to earn their business. Now, all of those questions are included in the PowerPoint presentation that we've developed. So you don't have to memorize them, you don't have to write them down, they're built right into it. The next part of the presentation is the pre-close and the objections. Now, this is really, this pre-close question is the question that separates the professional insurance salesperson from the amateur. And it goes something like this. Bob, if I can find the perfect plan for you at a cost that you're completely comfortable with, is it fair to say that we could get the ball rolling today? And at that point, any objections that come up will give you a perfect opportunity to close the sale. Simply say, Bob, that's a great question. Let me ask you this. If I can answer that question to your satisfaction, or if I can answer that objection to your satisfaction, is there anything else that would prevent you from moving forward and starting the enrollment procedure today? And then if they have another one, simply go through that process again. Now that brings us to the next step, which is actually presenting the total protection plan. Now, if you think about this sales presentation as having two different parts, the first part is presenting the concept of the total protection plan and selling them on that concept. And then the second part is actually matching them up to the right products and selling them the insurance package that you put together for them. This PowerPoint presentation that I'm about to share with you right now is actually connected to your subsite, and you can use it to increase your sales of total protection plans. So I'm going to run through it. I'm going to role play a little bit with you and show you how I would utilize this PowerPoint presentation. So it might sound something like this. Bob, I have a short presentation I'd like to show you that our agency developed, and it's called Are You Totally Protected? And the first thing I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about who we are. USA Benefits Group. We're a nationwide network of health and life insurance professionals. We've been actually doing business since 1988. We're non-captive agents. We're working for you, not the insurance company. We represent many, many different insurance companies, and we always try and find the right products for our customers. We're a very stable organization. We've been around for over 26 years, specializing in health and life insurance. We very, very proud of our A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. We do represent all the top-rated companies as determined by AM Best, and we have a totally secure online platform that's completely HIPAA compliant. That means it protects your personal information and your privacy. Also, we pride ourselves on superior customer service. We're going to be available, if and when you need us. I always promise promptness in handling your requests. I always promise to get back to my clients within no later than 24 hours from any kind of inquiry or problem that they might have. And usually I get back to them even quicker than that. Now, Bob, there's a specific enrollment procedure that I want to explain to you, and it basically works like this. Although ACA plans or Obamacare plans are guaranteed issue plans, you still have to go through an enrollment procedure. And what we have to do is we have to submit personal information to the insurance company, including your income and whether you're a smoker or a non-smoker. Some of the non-Obamacare plans or non-ACA plans have a short list of health questions. So I want you to know that right up front. Also, most plans require that you submit your first month's premium up front as a good faith deposit. Some plans have a one-time application fee. In addition to that, I'll let you know if that's applicable or not. Of course, when your enrollment is approved, you're going to be given an effective date, and of course, your first month's premium is paid up at that point. And then, of course, starting in the second month, your premium is going to be paid through what we call a monthly bank draft. And this is critical because it absolutely guarantees that your policy is going to be in force if and when you need it in the future. So, Bob, let me ask you this. Do you have any questions about that enrollment procedure? No? Fantastic. All right. I'm going to have to ask you some questions to see if I can even help you out. So, first of all, how old are you? All right. What's your spouse's name and age? How many dependent children are going to be covered under this plan? Does anybody currently smoke? Okay. Does anybody have any pre-existing health conditions? Has anyone been hospitalized in the last 5 years? Is anyone taking any prescription drugs on a regular basis? How much do you spend on prescriptions every year? How many times a year do you go to the hospital? Or do you go to the doctor? I'm sorry. How many times a year do you go to the doctor? Do you currently have health insurance? And if so, what company? What's your current monthly cost? What's your current annual household income? This is critical because it will help you to determine whether they have, whether they're eligible for a subsidy or not. My general rule of thumb is if they're an individual and they're making $50,000 or a year or more, they're probably not going to be eligible for any kind of significant subsidy. If they are a family, husband and wife working together, and they collectively make $80,000 or more, they're probably not going to be eligible for much of a subsidy either. Of course, it's a lot more complicated than that, but that's my general rule of thumb. Now, what do you like about your current plan? What do you dislike about your current plan? And last question for right now, what is the main reason that you even buy health insurance? Well, for some people, it's because it's the law. I have to. If I don't, I'm subject to a penalty, and that's absolutely true. But for other people, the real reason they buy it is because they want to protect themselves against the possible catastrophic financial loss that can occur due to a medical problem. They don't want to lose, all that they've worked for their entire life, maybe their business, their home, investments, and personal property that they've been able to acquire. Now, Bob, over the last 20 years, there's been a real trend in the health insurance industry. Here's what's been happening. Premiums have been increasing. Newsflash. Deductibles have been increasing. Coinsurance has been increasing. Coinsurance is the percentage of the bill that you are responsible for after your deductible has been met. And even though it was not a planned outcome of the Affordable Care Act, this trend will continue in the future. In fact, it's about to really get out of control. So, Bob, really, what is your greatest risk in today's environment? Well, here's what we know. 68% of all hospital confinements are related to the three most common critical illnesses, and that's heart attack, stroke, and cancer. 14% of all hospital confinements are related to accidental injuries. That means that a total of 82% are going to be covered under those two categories right there. What if I could cover you 100% for 82% of the situations that could land you in the hospital, and also make sure you have adequate coverage for all other procedures and surgeries? Wouldn't that put you into a fantastic position? Absolutely, it would. Now, here's some statistics to support this methodology. Let's talk about heart attacks and strokes, okay? Every 16 seconds, someone in the United States has a coronary event. That's more than 5,600 people every single day. The good news is that in the last 10 years, survival rates have gone up over 20%. As far as cancer is concerned, every 24 seconds, someone in our country is diagnosed with cancer. That's more than 3,400 people a day. And here's the shocking statistic right here. 1 in 2 males and 1 in 3 females will develop some sort of cancer in their lifetime. It's absolutely astonishing. The good news is that over the last 10 years, the survival rates for cancer have actually gone up over 30%. But unfortunately, 70% of families that have a member diagnosed with cancer will use up all or most of their life savings dealing with that critical illness event. So what's your financial risk? You know, what's the biggest problem that you could face? Well, here's what we know. Critical illness like heart attack, stroke, and cancer are very prevalent in our society. We know this. More people than ever before are physically surviving these illnesses, and that's the direct result of medical technology and breakthroughs and new drugs and procedures that we've developed. However, unfortunately, many families will not survive financially if they are stricken with one of these critical illnesses. So the question you're going to ask yourself is, if God forbid you or somebody in your family was hit with a critical illness, how would you pay for your deductible and your coinsurance? How would you pay for uncovered medical expenses? How would you pay for any expenses for experimental treatment? Did you know that there isn't a health insurance policy in the country that covers experimental treatment? What if, God forbid, some member of your family was diagnosed with some rare form of cancer? You did some research. You found out that there is a facility, an institution that has been working on this particular type of cancer, and they've developed a treatment that has increased the survival rate by 5 times. Would you want to avail your family member of that particular treatment? And the answer is absolutely you would. But how would you pay for it? Because your health insurance isn't going to cover it. What about travel expenses? Traveling to and from treatment, and perhaps even childcare expenses, having to hire somebody to watch your kids. But another big one is lost income, both for the patient and or the spouse. These are the kind of things that you don't think about until it's too late. So here's a typical example um, of some out-of-pocket expenses that you might have to be responsible for. A deductible and a coinsurance of $63.50, which is, by the way, the average out-of-pocket expense for an Obamacare plan in 2015. Uncovered medical expenses, another $1,780, because that's not included in your deductible and coinsurance. Travel expenses of $33.50. Child care expense, just over 1,000. And lost income for the patient, about 9,500. You add this all up, total out-of-pocket expense almost $22,000. And these amounts represent average out-of-pocket expenses incurred due to a critical illness. Your actual amounts could be higher or lower depending upon the actual circumstances. Now, here's some statistics quickly about accidental injuries. There's an accident every minute in the United States that requires emergency room treatment. There's over 2 million hospital stays every year resulting from accidents. And there's 30 million emergency room visits every year and an additional 30 million doctor's visits that are directly due to accidents in this country. So I think it's safe to say that accidents are an additional threat to your family's financial well-being, and I'm sure you would agree. So what's the bottom line here? Well, here's basically what we're getting at with this whole presentation, Bob. Even the best major medical policy, the best Obamacare plan, the Cadillac, if you will, of all plans, can still leave you with large out-of-pocket medical expenses that you're going to be responsible for. And in addition to that, you can also incur other non-medical or what we call indirect expenses that are associated with a critical illness or an accidental injury. So, you may very well want to consider protecting you and your family against these potential expenses. And the best time to think about your family's protection is right now. Because, Bob, once a critical illness or an accident occurs, you and I both know it simply will be too late. So it really all comes down to this, Bob. I'm going to show you two options today. The first one we call standard protection, and all that includes is a very good, high quality health insurance plan. I'm also going to show you another option, and we call that the total protection plan. This plan, in addition to your health insurance, it also includes coverage that pays a large lump sum cash payment to you in the event of a critical illness, and it also provides supplemental accident coverage. This option also includes a life insurance death benefit for your family, and most research shows that the majority of families in this country are drastically underinsured when it comes to life insurance. Now, Bob, if we were to look at these two different types of plans graphically, your standard protection would be a one-legged stool. It's just a health insurance plan. Your total protection plan, that's a three-legged stool. It's much more sturdy. It's much safer, much stronger. That includes your health insurance plan, your critical illness, along with the life insurance and the accident plan. Obviously, a much sturdier stool. So the conclusion is this. Let's take a look at these two options so you can decide which one makes most sense for you and your family. And when I click on this link right here that's built right into the presentation, it's going to take me to an HTML worksheet that looks like this. Now I can have the numbers pre-filled if I've been working with this client. If I'm attempting a one-call close, I'm going to have to build these numbers in right now. I'm going to have to get numbers from them. I'm going to have to go back over to my various sites for my carriers and pull up some quotes. But let's just say they're currently paying about $500 a month. And then for their standard plan, we're going to talk about a United Health One STM bridge plan. That's a short-term medical plan. We're going to show it with a $2,500 deductible. And let's say that that premium is going to come out to about $475. And then we're going to build in the total protection plan underneath that. We start off with that same United Health One short-term medical bridge plan. Whoops. I don't know how I did that. Let's try that again. boy, I'm not doing very good here. There we go. All right, on our total protection plan, of course, we're going to go with the higher deductible on their health insurance plan. In this case, in this particular scenario, we're going to look at a $5,000 deductible. It's going to lower their premium down to about $385 a month. And then we're going to add in a Colorado Bankers critical illness plan. We're going to show about $24,000 worth of coverage for the applicant for $50 a month and $22,000 for the spouse at $50 a month. And then we're going to show a VBA accident plan with a $5,000 per accident benefit for $59 a month. So you can see here now I can easily show this comparison and say, hey, Bob, between the concept here of the standard plan, which is just the, the bridge plan that we talked about for $475 a month, or the total protection plan, which includes the short-term medical plan with a little bit of a higher deductible, but has the $24,000 worth of critical illness and death benefit for you, $22,000 worth of critical illness and death benefit for your spouse, and the $5,000 per occurrence additional accident coverage for only $544 a month. Which one makes most sense to you? Now, if you need to make changes, this is completely interactive. So you could maybe change this down here to 16,000, and that might bring the cost down to $35 a month. Just using round numbers. There, we can take out the accident plan if we want. We can do whatever we want to do. This interactive worksheet is a perfect way for you to play around with the numbers. And once again, I just want to reinforce, if this is a follow-up appointment, then I've had the time to do some homework and go in and pull up some numbers and be ready for this. If it's a one call close, then I'm jumping back and forth between my UH1 site and getting those numbers, the Colorado Bankers, the VBA. I'm hopping around a little bit, but then I'm coming back here and I'm inputting it all in. Now, if for some reason they don't want to get the critical illness and or the accident plan, guess what? You have another tool here. It's called the critical illness disclosure form. Simply click on that and then just say, well, hey, Bob, I understand that you're not interested in this coverage. I just need you to sign off here, basically saying that I showed you the critical illness, that you are declining the lump sum benefit. Right here, you're declining the lump sum benefit to be paid in the event of a critical illness, and that you're going to be responsible for all your out-of-pocket expenses, all on your own. And then same thing here for the accident coverage. Now, trust me when I tell you, people do not want to sign these disclosure statements. They're going to be very hesitant. They're going to be like, well, why don't you tell me about that again? How does that work? Well, could you explain that to me again? And then at the very least, if they don't want it, get them to sign off on this. And you can, once they submit the signature, it's going to be stored on our servers here in case you ever have any problems, in case you ever need to prove that you actually offered this coverage to them. But more than anything, it really is a tool to help you to keep the conversation going so that they would think a little bit more deeply about these types of coverages and the importance. And in many cases, this is enough to kind of turn them around and actually get the sale and get that total protection sale. All right. So with that said, what I want to do now is I want to show you where you can find this as it's connected to your website. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you are logged into your website, or when you're logged into the USABG website, if you go to the agent area and then you look for client presentations, that's where you can find the presentations. Now, there's actually 4 separate presentations in here. There's actually a quick presentation for a young person who's not interested in critical illness, or they just want a cheap health insurance plan. There's a total protection plan uh, presentation called the standard presentation for families with young kids that are only interested in the accident coverage. They're really not interested in critical illness. There's the total protection plan complete presentation, the one that I just shared with you, that's designed for older couples and couples with older kids. They are interested in accident coverage and critical illness. And then there's a seminar presentation for more advanced seminar selling. You can also connect to the Total Protection Plan worksheet right here, which so you don't have to go through the whole presentation to get to it. If you just want to pull up that HTML interactive worksheet, you can do that right there. Also, another thing I want to point out, if you want to go back and check out any of these trainings, okay, go into the library, and all the way at the bottom you'll see trainings on demand. And when you open that up, you'll see in here there's another folder that's called New Agent Training. And here you'll have all of the PowerPoint presentations. So if you wanted to check this one out, Part 5, you can click right here and it will pull it up. So, ladies and gentlemen, that does bring me to the conclusion of the Part 5 training. Your code for getting credit for this training is 713, E as in Edward, 79. I want to thank you all for being on this training today. And don't forget that you have Part 6 coming up. And then after that, Part 7 and 8 to complete your 8-part new agent training. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention, and good luck, and we'll talk to you all real soon.